So about 5, 6 years ago, while I was still doing plumbing, I'm sitting outside one day and I'm having a smoke. I'm smoking a cigarette, and a coworker comes up to me, and this guy had been a smoker in the past, but he had, at this point had quit for several years now. And this guy comes up to me and he says something so impactful that I will never forget for the rest of my life. So I'm smoking this cigarette, and this guy comes up to me, and basically this is what he says. Never forget it. All he says was this, and then he just walks away like nothing happens. But he just says basically, people who smoke do it because they hate themselves. And he just walks off. I didn't even get a chance to respond. He just drops that bomb on me and just walks off. So later that day, I'm sitting down alone and I was thinking about that statement, and I started to realize that I actually didn't like myself. Like I did hate myself, and he was right. And I just wasn't self-aware enough to actually realize that I didn't like who I was until that statement. Now, obviously, when people start smoking, they don't hate themselves. It just kind of starts by like going to parties in high school and, smoking a dart outside while everybody else is smoking a dart. And it's like a social thing to do. And if you're not from Canada, a dart is a smoke. But, and then it kind of snowballs from there. And then one day you're buying a pack of smokes while you're at work, and then you're smoking at work, and then now you're just smoking all the time. And then pretty much for every smoker, I'm sure there's, probably a couple exceptions out there to this, but for the large majority is they get to a point where they don't want to be doing it anymore and they can't stop. So now years later, I have fully come to the conclusion that my coworker was right. And he wasn't necessarily like an intellectual dude, you know what I mean? But what he said, I think, has a lot more meaning than what he even realized he said at that time. And it took me years to fully understand the impact of that statement. So I'm gonna pull up this emotional frequency chart here, and at the bottom of all of these frequencies, you will find guilt and shame. So what tends to happen with a lot of smokers is they spend most of their day, almost every day, operating out of a guilt or shame frequency. And these frequencies are very real. This isn't like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass or whatever. When you meet somebody for the first time and you like instantly click with that person, it's likely because you guys are operating at the same frequency for that day, whatever it may be. But anyways, what most smokers will do is they buy a pack, they feel like shit because they bought that pack, and they start smoking. And then some way, halfway through the pack, they say, you know what, this is the last pack of smokes. Once I'm done this pack, I'm never buying another pack. I quit. They finish the pack, they can't stop themselves, they go and buy another pack, and they feel guilty that they went and bought another pack, and then every smoke that they smoke, they know they shouldn't be smoking, so they feel guilty and ashamed that they're smoking that smoke. And here's the thing, it's hard to like people that we can't trust. It's even harder to love people that we can't trust. So when you say that I'm gonna stop smoking, I'm done with this, and then you go and buy a pack of smokes and keep smoking even though you don't want to do it, you don't even trust you. Like the statement that comes out of your mouth that I'm gonna not do this anymore, and then you go and do it, you don't even trust you. So how are you gonna love yourself when you can't even trust yourself? A lot of them can't keep their own promises that they make to themselves, and deep down, this ends up harming their self-image, whether they are aware of that or not. When you consistently do stuff you know you shouldn't be doing, which is, literally every hour of the day for people who smoke cigarettes most of the time, you feel guilty for doing those things. Whether it's smoking, vaping, drinking, doing drugs, or even cheating on a spouse, you will operate out of that guilt frequency because you feel guilty for doing that because you know you shouldn't be doing it. And when I pull up this chart again, look what's all the way near the top of this frequency chart. Love. When you love yourself, which is, eating right, going to the gym, waking up when you say you're going to wake up, and just overall treating yourself with respect, you feel great about that, and you in turn start to love yourself, and you love the way you live your life, and you trust yourself a lot more because you're actually doing the things that you say you're going to do, and therefore you're going to be vibing way higher at that love frequency on a day-to-day basis if you just consistently do all the good habits that you know you should be doing. So what ends up happening with a lot of smokers, and by the way, like, no judgment from me at all. I don't care if you smoke. I was a smoker for several years myself. But they kind of enter this negative feedback loop where you want to quit smoking, you try, then you fail, then you can't trust yourself, this affects your self-image, then you care less about your self-image, then you treat yourself more poorly, then you feel like shit, then eventually gets to the point where you feel so shitty you try to change, then you fail, then you don't trust yourself, and it's just like a complete feedback loop of just spiraling down into the depths. And what's even worse about all of this is smoking usually ends up in you treating yourself worse in other aspects of your life. You don't wake up on time. Now you're eating like crap. Now you're drinking more. And this is a very real thing called the broken window effect. The broken window effect states, if a window in a building is broken and left unrepaired, soon all the other windows in the building will be broken as well. You've probably had it before, and just to give you some context that's relatable for most people, you've probably had it before where there's a dent in your car, or somebody sideswiped you, or there's some type of damage on the outside of the vehicle. Suddenly you're not washing the car anymore, you're leaving garbage on the inside, and suddenly you're just like, you don't even care about the car, just get rid of it, I want a new car, I'm gonna throw it away. And this is how like basic human psychology works, is that you're either growing or you're shrinking, but you're pretty much never flat. Good habits will compound onto each other. You go to the gym 3 days in a row, you feel great about yourself, suddenly you're waking up earlier every day. Suddenly you care about your diet for some reason. Now you're more, productive at work. The good habits start compounding onto each other. Well, it works the same way when you're going down. All the bad habits start compounding on each other, and then it's just a race to the bottom from that point forward. So I hope this does help somebody who's watching this video. And again, I'm not trying to shame anybody. I was a smoker myself. And like I said, there's probably some outliers to these principles, but for the most part, I think this rings true for a large majority of people who smoke. Like, I just remember being a kid or a teenager, like I have 4 older brothers that are all 10 plus years older than me. So when I'd be at the house, they'd have their friends over drinking and whatever and smoking. And everyone would always say, because everyone would be smoking, they'd be like, don't do this. Do not start smoking. Once you start smoking, you can't stop. Which implies, if you say the statement that, you can't stop once you start, that means that they want to stop, but they can't do it. They don't want to be doing it, but they're doing it. So I'd recommend just eliminating your bad habits, compound the good ones, and try to operate at those higher frequencies all the time. You're going to be a lot more productive. You're going to feel amazing about yourself. You're going to love yourself. If you enjoyed this video and you made it to the end, do not forget to subscribe. And if you like this video, you're going to like this video. I appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Peace.